everybody. It's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies. And guess what? We're going to do a few Christmas movies. Starting out with Christmas Chronicles 2. It is the sequel to last year's Christmas Chronicles on Netflix with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn as Santa and Mrs. Claus. And Mom is Kimberly Williams Paisley, Brad Paisley's wife. And then it's her son and daughter, Judah Lewis, as Teddy. And Darby Camp as Kate. And then we have 3 new stars. We have, I guess you would say, the mom's love interest is Tyrese Gibson. And I'm not sure what his name is. And then, sorry, I wrote down the... and his little boy, Jazier Bruno. And then we have a villain this time. A young villain who people are familiar with from other movies, but not me. The character's name is Belschnickel. And his real name is Julian Dennison. And Marco said that he is in, what's the name of that movie, Marco? I haven't seen it.
Deadpool 2.
And so he can talk further about that.
Okay.
He's not very happy about it. But I guess I'll give you a little plot. What's going on is the girl and the little girl is now a little bit bigger, and the boy is a little bit older, and they are in Cancun, Mexico with their mother, and she has a boyfriend, this guy, new character, and his son. And they are just having a holiday. It's Christmas too, and they've decided to take this Cancun holiday as their Christmas holiday, instead of being at home shoveling snow and all that, the regular things. And the little girl is not happy. She thinks her mother is forgetting about her father, which is kind of ridiculous. But whatever. It's the same old, kind of a tried old story that we've seen many times in other places. And she just wants to get away. And this villain comes along, named Belschnickel, and apparently, Marco will talk about this too, he's a well-known figure in German folklore, which was not mentioned in the movie at all. I thought it was just a made-up character, and I thought, God, where'd they get that kind of name? Well, because that's a real name, apparently. So, he's had a falling out with Santa. There's a lot more to it. And he's kind of been like evicted from Santa Land, Santa Claus Village, whatever it's called.
It's called Mrs. Claus's Village, Safi.
Well, anyway, and he's not allowed in. And so she's what is termed as a true believer, and I think they talked about in the first movie. They talk quite a bit about it in this movie. And Belschnickel finds out about her and uses her, and she wants to leave anyway, to get back in, and I'm not going to explain all that, but anyway, the little boy he is kind of young, and he kind of wants to be with her because there's nowhere else for him to go. The big boy is staying there. He's got a hot date with another vacationer, and they're going to go snorkeling. And so Belschnickel kind of kidnaps them, and the little boy is just along accidentally, of course. And they all go back to Santa Land, and of course Belschnickel gets in there by being with her. So anyway, so we see what happens after that. But that's basically the basic plot of the story. And why does Belschnickel want to go there? I'm not really sure, but I guess, I don't know. I can think of some things to say, but I just won't. This just what I told you is something to start out with. But you should watch it. So anyway, I'll let Marco continue from there.
Okay. Well, I think it's pretty funny actually. Well, first off, Safi, why was the review of the first one special? Let's see if you can remember that.
I don't know why it was special, but Marco thought that
No,
the movie.
no. Why was the first review special?
I don't know.
Because when we reviewed the first Christmas Chronicles, it was the first video to have a picture put up over it.
Oh.
Instead of a black screen, which apparently is a big deal for people. They can't handle a black screen, and so you got to put like a generic picture there, make a meme or something like that. It's
Marco's good at memes.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's like, there's nothing to come up with. And so it's like you just put a generic picture there, and it's like, why is it really that big of a deal? But anyway, that is why this that was so special, and so this is also special because we're reviewing the second one. And it's also special because it's funny. Safi loved the first one. She said it was like one of the greatest movies ever made when it came out.
I didn't.
Of the movies that came out last year.
It was a lot of fun. I thought it was a nice story. It was complete and fun.
You loved it though, and she just watched it over and over again. And I wasn't as much of a fan. I thought that it had really good elements in it, but it was trying too hard to be like Adventures in Babysitting without actually being Adventures in Babysitting. And I thought it was very much like a Hallmark movie. It had a lot of corny Hallmark movie elements, and I didn't like that. I thought, if I want to watch Adventures in Babysitting, I want to watch something hard-edged and, like Adventures in Babysitting. And then with the second one, it's sort of the opposite, where I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was very enjoyable, and I thought it was a fun movie. And even though I do have a lot of issues I could point out, and I still have a lot of issues, I still really enjoyed the movie. So it kind of takes some of the issues away, because it's like, I think it's I think it's an okay movie, especially for this year. It's right there in the middle. It's not great and it's not terrible. I think it could have been much better. So if you're talking about what it could have been, it would definitely be a terrible movie. But I mean, people are acting like this movie is like garbage. Like, Safi doesn't like it. She said it was hard to watch.
No, that's not true. I just didn't. Well, I'm not as excited about it because I thought it was more kiddish.
You said you had to push yourself through it, though.
Well, from the middle on, it was better, but it was kind of kiddish, and I'm kind of not in the mood to watch a kid movie. I'm sorry.
But Christmas is for the family. It's for everyone.
Well, I want it to be for the whole family. Like the other one, I thought the other one was very more family, but maybe it was a little bit more adult.
Well, I would agree.
Because you talk to a lot of adults, and you brought that up. And in this one, there are no adults. It's children, and then you have their mother, but they're in her boyfriend. They're not really in it that much. They're in it a little bit at the beginning.
It's like a cameo.
A little bit at the almost, and a little bit at the end, and then of course Mrs. Claus and Mr. Claus. They're practically in the whole thing, and that's fine with me because I really like them, and I thought they make an excellent Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
So so that was hard for me because I just I'm not in the mood, and I have one grandchild, a granddaughter in California. I haven't seen her in 2 years, so I'm anxious to see what she thought about the movie. But Marco and I are adults, and so when you're a parent and you have young kids at home, you're more likely to watch kids movies, and it really doesn't bother you that much because you're really trying to get into it because of your kid. But when you're an adult, you have no other kids around. It's a little hard.
But
For me, anyway.
Being a kids movie is not a good excuse for why a movie is bad.
No,
because,
it's not. No, but that's just my initial impression.
Well, because you have like really good kids movies like The Peanut Butter Solution and The Witches, which I just rewatched The Witches this year. I would give that the original, not the racial swap remake. I would give the original Witches like a 5 out of 5. It is a perfect film. You have like Matilda, you have like Problem Child. There are so many good kids movies back then. And nowadays, the problem is that they made kids movies into baby movies. They make them so kiddish that it's almost like insultingly kiddish to where it's like degrading. It's like, you think that kids are so stupid that they'll only like these brain-dead, fluffy pussy movies where they have like these stupid mistakes and plot holes and terrible characters, and it's like, oh, who cares? It's a kids movie. It's a kids movie. Oh, who cares if the Avengers was terrible? It's a kids movie. It's for kids. And it's like, no, that's not a good. That's not good at all. If your kid gets an F in school, you don't just say, oh, that's okay. You're a kid. You can get an F. Oh, that's okay. No. And with this movie, there's some of that, but I think that overall it's a very fun film, and I think that it's a magical type of a film. It reminds me a lot of other Chris Columbus movies since he directed this one. It reminds me of the Harry Potter movies, the first two. It reminds me of Percy Jackson, which is his worst movie. But it was an enjoyable film. I mean, it wasn't like hard to watch. Like, it was just sort of like a mess. And it really helps that Kurt Russell is in it, because he's the best Santa Claus that's ever been.
Okay, well, one thing I didn't like was the actor who played the love interest. I didn't think that he had any chemistry with his wife or his son. And it's not a racial thing. I'm going to point that out, and I hate to do that anyway, but I just can imagine what people might say. His son was African American too. I don't think they seemed like they went together. He just didn't fit, and they just, I don't know. He was very like he just didn't. I can't explain it. That they just didn't have any chemistry. He seemed like a good actor, but the chemistry wasn't there, and I see that every so often with anybody, any movie at any time, anywhere, and you can just tell it. In a TV show, you just can tell it, and you may not really be aware of what it is that you don't like about the show or whatever, but it's there. That's one of the problems, is no chemistry. But anyway, so it's not a big deal because, like I said, I don't know if they just thought, well, that's okay, because they're not on screen that much. Like I said, they're on a really tiny bit at the beginning and a little bit more at the very end.
No offense, Safi, but they were trying to be as jarring as possible.
Well, I just didn't care for that.
They made it where they're in Mexico for Christmas, which is gross. They made it to where Tyrese is now the father. Is now going to be the new husband. They made it where the daughter is bitchy now because she's upset, rightfully so, because the dad, her real dad, is dead, and her mom's just acting like he doesn't matter. Whereas in the first one, it was like, it was the whole film, what it was based around, and so it was like they were trying to be as jarring as possible. It's like if you have ice cream, and then next week they're like, no, you can only have you can only have a piece of taffy today. You can't have ice cream. It's like an extreme for comedy, and I was fine with it. I just thought that Tyrese, he's a pretty good actor from what it seems from this movie, but I don't think he was right for the part. I think that you should have gotten like Craig Robinson from The Office, because he has the same sort of haircut that the kid has, kind of, and he seems like he would fit a lot more, but then again, he's overweight, and so they probably wouldn't put that in the plot, that she's with an overweight black man, which is true. It's only acceptable for these Hollywood people that she's with a certain type of black man. She can't be with an overweight black man, because that wouldn't be something acceptable to them. It's true.
Okay, I don't want to go into anything like that. I have no
It's true.
idea. I just didn't think they had any chemistry, period.
Because you never see that. Do you ever see in these movies where they'll make because it's multiple things.
Okay, well, moving on.
Well, I don't even care about it. I was just elaborating on your point, which you made.
Okay, well, I want to talk about the villain, because
Ugh.
Marco's having a fit, and just let me say what I'm going to say, because I don't really know this kid. But I just, the guy who plays Belschnickel, that's the villain. I didn't find out until today that Belschnickel was a real German folkloric character, which Marco can talk about, because he took German. I didn't. And anyway, you know, like I said, Belschnickel got evicted. He also turned in, he was an elf, like a, you know, they're animated kind of elves, you know, and, you know, what happens is he's a bad boy in many ways, and he broke this rule where if you do these different bad things, you will turn into a human. And that's what happened. And then he got evicted to out of the place. And then he wanted to get in. He used the girl, like I said. So anyway, he's there, and he does some terrible things because he wants to take over, or I don't know. And they have a star there, and he wants to steal the star and start his own place. I don't know. That's it's multiple things, but it has to do with power. He wants the power, and he wants to go somewhere with his power, and in using that girl to get in. Anyway, but in order to do that power, they have this big cat. I don't know, it's supposed to be a Canadian lynx or whatever, and of course it's all animated, okay. And so he lets the cat in there, and he hurts Dasher, and he almost gets him killed. It's really bad, and it's really close. And then he gets the elves all messed up, and Mrs. Claus says they're going to go insane if it keeps up. And he does a whole bunch of things. But anyway, so then at the end, he's all in the good graces, and they treat him like a baby, and I just didn't like that. I just think that every Santa movie you watch, I don't care if it's animated or it's kind of real life action, whatever, the elves are old. They're all old, and these elves are old too. I'm talking about thousands of years old. And Santa and his wife, Mrs. Claus, they never hold the elves like they're babies unless they are babies. Like in Elf, that's one thing you remember. Marco brought this up. Elf is sitting on another elf's, the head elf's lap, and he's
made
real
to be
tiny.
That's made to be a joke, though.
Yeah, it's just a joke. They're not. That's not something they like doing. He practically is smashing him into the ground because Will Ferrell's kind of big, and Bob Newhart, even if he's not a little tiny elf, he is little, and he's older too. He's probably 80 or something. Anyway, I just thought they should have gotten an older character, not like I'm talking about like somebody in their 20s or something that could pass more for he just didn't. I didn't like that. Okay, and Marco can talk more about the character now, but in more ways than one. But anyway,
Well,
I just wish they would have had an older person,
that's
even if it's like 10 years older. Not I didn't want to see them hold him like a baby after almost killing one of their reindeer and doing all kinds of the other bad things he did.
And
okay?
If you look at what I was talking about with Tyrese, if you also think about it, they made Santa skinny, and they made Belschnickel overweight, who's the villain. And so if you look at it like that, it just makes it even more clearer. And I want people to think about that, because I know, obviously, it's a hard point to talk about, because you'll get called racist if you talk about anything to do with black people in movies or television nowadays. But what it means is the fact that, they made Belschnickel overweight. They made him a kid with an annoying accent. And he was in Deadpool 2 playing the same exact effing thing. He was in Deadpool 2. He was this annoying, bratty kid. He's whiny. He's like, I'm mad because I'm a mutant and I'm getting abused. And I'm gonna kill people. And you can't stop me, Deadpool. And Deadpool's like, this kid's stupid. I'm gonna have to kill this kid myself. Like, it's just... He was terrible. He was the worst part of the movie, and he made that movie even worse than it already was. And that movie was trash too. But in this movie, it's like, why? Why are you casting this guy? Why? I mean, maybe he'll be a good actor someday, in the proper role, but that's not Belschnickel. Belschnickel, excuse me. That was something Belschnickel would do. Belschnickel is basically a child abuser Santa Claus. He's dirty, he wears rags for clothes, and he comes 2 weeks before Christmas to check on how a kid is doing, just in case Santa checking them the whole year around wasn't already enough. He has to check them too. And so he comes to their bedroom and he basically asks them a question, because what my German teacher did was she would ask us a vocabulary question or something like that. And if we got it right, she would give us candy. And if we got it wrong, she would hit us with a stick. Because that's what Belschnickel does. If you're naughty, he beats you with a giant rod. And so he's a child abuser. Because beating children is child abuse, just so you know. And, that's Belschnickel's specialty. That's what he's known for. He literally carries that rod around, threatening to abuse you. And so the fact that evil, abusive, devilish character is turned into this kid who's not even a villain. I mean, he doesn't even do anything villainous the whole movie. He doesn't even want to be a villain. And it's trash. And, it could have been a really good story. And I was really excited to see the second movie with Belschnickel's character, because I thought, we could get some horror elements that makes it like a Gremlins type of thing. Instead of parodying Adventures in Babysitting, maybe in the second one they're going to parody Gremlins instead. Oh no, can't do that. That's too adult, even though it's not. And no, we have to do the stupid, cliche, overdone story about this naughty kid who runs away, and he's mad and he's sad, and so he does some naughty things and causes trouble, but really he wants to be there with Santa, and it's just stupid. And his character is just the worst. And he's the worst part of the movie. I'll say that, next to the song. And by the way, the first one, it had a song, of course, to parody the scene in Adventures in Babysitting, where they're in the... Stop doing it, Safi. Where they're in the blues club, and they have to sing the blues in order to get out of it. Well, that was what that scene was in Christmas Chronicles. Well, in the second one, they have a song in an airport for no reason.
Logan Airport in Boston.
And it's a terrible song. It's terrible. It is one of the worst songs I've ever heard in a movie. And it was terrible. And it should not have been in the movie at all. And there was even a song at the end for some reason.
Well, that was Oh Christmas Tree. And that was Kate's, the little
there's
girl.
No excuse
that was
for
her
that.
Father's
That's not an excuse.
favorite song. Well, I like that song.
And it's just a disgrace to the father, the fact that they're singing that as a family so soon. It's just gross. The whole movie is basically saying that, like, you can still remember your dad while also accepting the new one. But at the end of the movie, they literally make it a point to just say F you to the dad and just sing that song anyway. And I thought, like, there's so many other songs that you can choose from. Oh Christmas Tree isn't the top 5 Christmas songs.
Well, I think they have to watch out for copyright. So.
Well, I think they have enough money to get the copyright to some other Christmas song.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
I mean, in the Lassie television show, they had Silent Night, Deadly Night. So don't give me that.
Silent Night, Deadly Night? Silent Night, Holy Night. Or just Silent Night.
They had some... They had Silent Night in a Lassie episode where Lassie gets injured and then they sing Silent Night.
Timothy does. Timmy.
No, the whole family does, and the whole neighborhood does, Safi.
Oh, I thought he just sang it in church.
No. They all crowd together to sing it as Lassie is having surgery. It's a very dark episode. But other things to talk about with this movie, I mean, there's a lot of plot things you could talk about that are just, like, bad, or just like plot elements that make no sense, because this movie is a very plotty movie. It doesn't really have much character or storytelling. It's just a lot of plot that they throw at you.
Well, I wanted to say what I liked about it, and that was, I'm glad that Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn are playing Mr. and Mrs. Claus. I think Kurt Russell's played the best Santa Claus I've ever seen. And I guess there was a lot of things brought up about Mrs. Claus. For example, she didn't have any first name. And then we've seen this, why not? Considering all the agendas and everything, and she's Mrs. Claus, and we talked about this back in the olden days, and I don't know where you make the cutoff to where it's now the new days and the olden days, but when you're married, it used to be the woman would never be called by her first name. They'd just be calling her Mrs. Whatever, and that's old school. And so they're calling her Mrs. Claus, and she doesn't even you never hear her first name. That's kind of shocking to me, considering the things that have been injected into all these movies that are driving me insane.
I was the one who brought that up to Safi.
I know.
Because Safi was complaining about the agenda in the movie of making it so that Mrs. Claus designed the village. So therefore, it should be called Mrs. Claus's Village.
And that's silly.
And I brought up, like, she doesn't even have a first name. And with Santa, he has a first name. It's Santa. And Santa is way better than Mrs. Claus. And so Santa's village is just... And it's his village, too. It's not her village. And there's just, like, a million things you could say, but it's just so hypocritical they're trying to do that agenda, but she doesn't even have a first name.
And that's really weirds me out. I mean, it's either going to be one way or another. Or you're going to, that's what I'm saying, you people are putting in agendas, and this women's, all the thing with the women's, look, I'm from the 70s. I was there at the birth of it. And you guys, some of you are going way overboard.
Oh, they all
And,
are.
well, I don't know. I'm not going to go on with that. But the thing is, and then this, come on, really? That's what we fought against. We did not want that. We wanted to be called our first name and our married name, or do a dash like your maiden name dash whatever. And that's stupid. Okay, that's all minor stuff. But I just thought it kind of struck me as ironic, considering all of this agenda crap that's being stuck in everywhere, like paper clips and staples. It's silly. But anyway, I love seeing those two. I think they're really great. You know, they've been a couple for a long time. I remember Goldie Hawn when she was a skinny little girl on Laugh-In, and she would giggle and she'd dance, and her belly would be painted up with hearts and stuff. It was funny. And then I remember Kurt Russell as a kid in these Disney. He was in all kinds of Disney movies, and anyway, so it's just fun to see them together. They make a great couple. They make great Mr. and Mrs. Claus. I liked watching a new Christmas movie that isn't just about romance, which is Lifetime and Hallmark, basically 99% of the Christmas movies that they put out every year. I liked also hearing we heard a lot more about the mythology of Santa Claus that I guess they just made up, but it was pretty good, pretty interesting. And that was fun. Instead of just hearing Santa has been here a million years and then that's it. And there was another animated Christmas story with Santa, and they told a little bit more about him being an orphan and
that was his whole origin story.
Yeah, and so that was something. But mainly, when you see a movie with Santa Claus, you don't hear anything about where he came from. It's just like he dropped out of the sky, and so I liked that. And another thing which is kind of debatable, Kate meets her father, and she wanted to say goodbye to him. So, but she didn't see him as an adult. She saw him as a kid. I'm not going to go into any lot of detail about that, but Marco did not think it was fair that she got to see him and her brother didn't, because remember, he did not come along. He stayed back to have a date with his friend.
With the bimbo.
Well, I don't know what she was, but they never really showed her.
Well, she
stood in the background.
She's
anyway.
there. She's basically there so that she can make out with the brother.
Well, whatever. I didn't see him
that's
making
her,
out.
That's her only purpose.
She was always in the background. She was another vacationer.
It's a kids' movie, so they can't show that happening. That's not appropriate in a kids' movie. But this. Enough about the bimbo character. Her character served no purpose other than to be a bimbo. And the brother, the fact that he didn't get to go on the adventure really pissed me off.
He didn't want to go.
I don't care.
His mind was in other places.
He would have wanted to go. He at the end of the movie, he was like amazed, and he was like delighted, and he was like, "You got to tell me all about it." But he did not get to go.
Well, he didn't get the opportunity. He didn't know anything about it. Now, actually, she didn't either. Remember, they were kidnapped.
That doesn't matter.
Well, they were kidnapped by
Belschnickel. The writers knew what would happen, and the writers chose for him not to go. They chose for the new kid to go instead, so that they could do the whole, look, kid, we're going to introduce you to the magical world, and we're going to show you everything, because that's another cliche in these kids' movies. Oh, hello, kid. We're going to show you this new world you never knew existed before. And we're going to spend the majority of the movie just showing you things. I've seen that over and over and over and over again. It goes all the way back to The Wizard of Oz. And, but the brother doesn't get to go. And they have... I would say it's probably my favorite scene of the movie, actually, is where she meets her father as a kid, which I thought that was really genius. That was my favorite scene of the movie, even though it didn't really have Santa Claus in it until a shitty song. But basically, the scene is parodying the scene from Ferris Bueller, where Ferris's sister is in the police station with Charlie Sheen, and she's saying that she hates her brother, and Charlie Sheen is like, why do you hate your brother? I think you have more important problems to deal with. And then they start making out and everything. And so it was a parody of that scene. I thought that's genius. That was so cool. It perfectly fit. And that was a really good moment. But then I thought about it and I thought, ugh, this is a sinister and cruel agenda. It's either an agenda or it's just a sinister and cruel thing. The brother is still in the present with the stupid bimbo in Mexico. He should be getting to meet his father as a kid too. It's like, what? Why? That's just so irritating. The fact that, oh, she can get to meet her father as a kid, but no, he can't. The brother cannot. That was irritating. Safi.
Alright, well, I don't have anything else to say about it. I was just going to tell you what my rating of it was. I decided I'd give it some Christmas cookies, like Christmas cutout cookies, that you have the dough and you get cookie cutters and cut out shapes and you bake them. And I did it just plain with a little bit of sugar and without any icing. And I thought if they would have made a few little tweaks, like to the villain, and got a different dad character, and maybe changed the song that was sung at the airport, that I would have had icing put on there, and the sugar, make it really special, some decor. But they're just kind of really plain with a little bit of sugar on them. So that's my food review of it. What did you decide to do?
Well, so you gave it plain cookies
with a little bit of sprinkled of colored sugar.
Okay. Ugh. Gross. That makes this movie sound terrible.
No,
well,
it's not terrible. It just could have used a few tweaks.
Yeah. Well, I would give this movie, is it the Popcorn Factory? Is that what it was called?
The cookies from the popcorn. Oh no, there's the Popcorn Factory. There's
Is that where we got the popcorn from?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we used to get popcorn from the Popcorn Factory.
They still exist.
I never would have known. And so
I can't eat popcorn very much anymore. That's why I don't get it.
Well, they give you too much anyway, but that's beside the point. I would give this movie Popcorn Factory popcorn. What flavor? I would say just the regular flavor. It was very fluffy. It was very kiddie. It was very just light and just basically turn your brain off bullshit kids movie, 2020 kids movie. But there's things in it that elevate it, that make it more different than usual, which hence the fact that it's Popcorn Factory popcorn instead of just regular popcorn. I think that Kurt Russell gives a much better performance than in the first one. He's the best Santa ever, and he really does a fantastic job. And then I think that Goldie does a good job as Mrs. Claus, even with the stupid agenda. And then I think the kids are fine. Safi was annoyed by the black kid. But I was not. I thought that the... Well, I mean, everyone says that the black kids suck, not just you.
I did not say he sucks at all.
You hated him.
He was just because he was so young, and I just didn't like the kid stuff.
She said
he's
annoying. She doesn't want to watch it because he's in it. And I disagree. I didn't have a problem with them. I had a problem with the fact that Mrs. Claus is sending an 8-year-old to go climb a mountain.
Okay.
That's what I had a problem with. What are you thinking, Mrs. Claus? You're sending this little kid to climb a mountain without any climbing gear, without any protective clothing on. He's just going out there with some generic winter clothes to climb a 1,000-foot tall mountain.
And it was to save them. I mean, this was a very integral mission for him. This wasn't any little silly deal.
Oh,
Safi, this is a big thing.
She had to stay home and caress a reindeer. I mean, that's all she does. She stays home and she caresses a reindeer. Like, are you telling me the kid couldn't have done that instead? And you could have had it where he faces off against some of the evil elves, like gremlins. Oh no, can't do that. It's a kids' movie. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Can't do anything good in a kids' movie because kids suck. Because apparently kids can't watch anything good. They have to watch terrible trash where it's this
sanitized movies.
Well, it's sanitized, but it's also like condescending. Because it's like you're basically just making poor quality trash and just passing it off to kids because you don't care about kids' movies. I still like it. I think it's okay. It didn't piss me off as much as it's leading on in this review. It didn't piss off Safi that much either, but it just seemed like she was very low energy about it, where with the first one, she couldn't stop talking about it.
I wasn't as enthusiastic. So, but anyway, it's a good movie. It's good enough for a Christmas movie. It could have been better. Like I said,
it could have been way better.
That's right, and I recommend it for people to watch. You can watch it as a family. And although the older ones, I have to say, it's a little bit oriented toward younger children. I'm sorry, but I think it is. And that's it.
Like if you're like 4 or 3, you're gonna think this movie is a masterpiece. But once you reach the age of about 5, you're gonna have a problem with this movie.
I think I'll be a little older than that. But anyway, we've got to go now.
Okay.
And we have, I think, 4 more movies to do. So.
Yep.
Be sure to subscribe. We like new subscribers. And like the video, or if you don't like it, that's fine too. And if you want to make some commentary about was this movie good enough for you, or did you see some places you could improve it, or what do you think about Goldie and Kurt being Mr. and Mrs. Santa? Do you like that? And what do you think about Belschnickel and that he is a real German character who beats kids, if they're bad at Christmas.
That's his whole character.
The whole year.
That is his whole character.
And that is his character. He is a real person. And Belschnickel means he wears bells on his ears, and I don't know about the nickel. Maybe they're metal. Of course, bells are metal.
He promotes child abuse.
So he's abusive. So anyway.
And so I think it would have been really funny if the brother was making out with the girl, and then Belschnickel starts beating the brother. It'd be so funny. And then the brother could take the rod from him, like break it in half, be like, "What do you think you're doing?" Like, are you serious? It's 2020, man. And it could be like this really like comedic moment. Like, they don't have to make it dark, like, him like beating the little girl. Which is what would happen in real life, because that's the character. It's not my invention. It's the old German child abusers who like to beat their children all the time.
Okay, well, it's time to go now. Bye. Everybody.